are now listening to the IELTS podcast. Learn from tutors and ex-examiners who are masters of IELTS preparation. Your host, Ben Worthington.
Hello, students. In this tutorial, we're looking at enhancing concentration for your IELTS test. This is not only going to help you on exam day, but it will also help you because it's going to make your preparation time more effective. The interesting thing about this tutorial is that these are all my personal strategies that I have used. I used to have a terrible issue with concentration. I would sit down to work and then I'd be opening up more tabs. I would be jumping up, and I really suffered from a lack of concentration. But nowadays, I've focused on it so much, it has become a strength. And you'll probably find this will happen with you when you work on a weakness so much that you work on it until it becomes exceptional. I'm not saying my concentration is exceptional, but I do find that I'm highly focused. Before I start this, if this is your first time listening to these tutorials, let me just share who I am. My name's Ben Worthington, and I've been preparing students for the IELTS exam for well over 12 years now. I left England. I'm originally from England. I lived here for the first half of my life, first like 20 odd years. And then I left. I went to Spain, found a job teaching English, and I got sent some IELTS students. But when I started preparing them, I was perplexed. I was confused. I was lost. So I started interviewing experts. I started asking other tutors and examiners, and I recorded these conversations, and then I tested what they told me on my private students. And if it worked, if I got consistent results, then I put it into the course. If it didn't, I just left it and moved on. And here we are today. We've got like 700 podcasts now. We do these like twice a week. Sometimes we have guests. Sometimes we have other tutors, examiners speaking on the podcast. And we are here just to help you succeed, because we know that the IELTS exam can be terribly frustrating. Now, today's tutorial, as I said, is going to be all about concentration. This fits in with what I've been talking about recently, which is marginal gains. Marginal gains are when you improve something by like 2 or 3%, and then you might improve your writing speed by 2 or 3%, and then you might improve your listening comprehension by another 3-5%. And all these little improvements start to add up. They start to compound, and suddenly you find yourself jumping a whole band score, for example. Now, the importance of concentration cannot be overstated. In the IELTS exam, you need a high level of concentration, obviously, to follow the listening exam, to follow the speakers in the listening exam, to maintain your concentration for the reading, to keep focus, to remember which paragraph you saw the answer in, but also for the speaking. That might sound a little bit weird, but if you are focusing on what the examiner is saying, then it's going to make it a lot easier. You also need this focus to quickly tune in to the examiner's accent. And this is, again, going to make the rest of the exam that little bit easier if you can quickly understand them. I mean, personally, nowadays when I hear a new accent, I don't have to tune in that much, but my mind automatically goes like, this person is from Poland, this person is from Argentina, or whatever. Yeah. So when you're in the speaking exam, if you can really focus on the examiner, then it's going to help you significantly. It's going to give you that extra time to process what they're saying. It's going to give you that extra time, more productive time to produce your answer. And again, with the writing, if you've got powerful concentration skills, then you're not going to be suffering from, oh, I've just got this idea, oh, I should do this. And especially if you've got a process for the writing exam, which is what we teach in our online courses, then you'll be able to follow that process far more efficiently, and you'll end up saving yourself an extra 5-10 minutes at the end of the writing exam, so you can review your essay, check those errors that you've made before in previous essays, hopefully catch them, correct them, and boost your score again by another 3, 5, 10% possibly. Marginal gains. Let's talk about techniques to improve your concentration. All of these, as I've said, I use personally, and I also teach my private students to use these techniques because they do help. Meditation for me, I struggled with at first, and probably you will as well. You know, you sit there and you're thinking, this is a waste of time. Oh, what shall I eat for tomorrow? Oh, did I post that letter? Did I print that PDF? Whatever. Powerful concentration can just silence that monkey mind. The gurus say, they call it a monkey mind. A monkey mind is when your mind is just bouncing all over the place. Imagine a bouncy ball, one of those rubber balls that you throw down in a small environment, and it's just going boing, 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 boing. That's a monkey mind. Now, if you've got strong concentration skills, that ball doesn't bounce. You just focus on the task, or maybe you start to recognize it. This is what happened with me. I started to recognize it when I was, focusing on writing an essay. An interruption would come, and the technique for that interruption is just to write that thought down on another piece of paper and then get back to work. So back to meditation. You can start off with by doing simple breathing exercises. You can find these on YouTube. You can also start off by experimenting which meditation works for you. Personally, I've found that a breathing exercise where I just focus on the in-breath for 10 seconds, hold it for 5 seconds, breathe out for 10 seconds, and I'm counting all the way through. And I'm also listening to some special kind of music. You can just put into YouTube meditation music, find what works for you. Personally, what works for me is a site called Brain FM. It's got this weird binaural beats. It sounds a little bit woo-woo. Doesn't really matter. What matters is if it works. And this music works a treat for myself. Next point. Oh, one last thing about meditation. I'll do this in the morning, and I'll do this in the evening. And when I've got a heavy task, one that's going to require a lot of concentration and a lot of effort, such as teaching a private class or writing an essay, or I've got the accounting to do for the business, I might do a quick 5-minute meditation, and this will just make the rest of the hour so much more productive and powerful. Next point, diet. Again, this is down to you. This will come from your own personal biology. You should be aware. This is another benefit of meditation, actually. You start to become more aware of other things in your life. For me, I became aware that certain foods were just not conducive to high concentration. It was usually like red meat, and if I drank the night before, my mind would be an absolute mess, and I found it so difficult to concentrate. So, nowadays I don't drink, maybe 1 pint a year at most. So find out what food has a positive or negative effect. Just become aware. Nowadays, if I pack my diet with legumes, beans, lentils, for example, and salad, I can focus all day without interruptions. If I'm eating a heavy meat diet and I've had some alcohol, I'm a complete mess. So I try to avoid those. But again, you need to find out what works for you. Now, another two useful techniques, 3 actually, for your preparation. Number 1, Brain FM. It's not only good for relaxing, for meditation music, but it's also got music that helps you focus. It's got music that helps you send to sleep. Again, you can find some variations of these on YouTube, sleep music, focus music. A lot of people listen to lo-fi music on Spotify. I'm not so keen on that stuff. I prefer just the sound of rain. So my wife thinks it's bizarre that I'm listening to rain, and especially if it's raining outside, which it is nowadays a lot, now that I'm in England. But it doesn't matter. You need to find out what works for you. Another technique, a tool rather, is focusmate.com. This is amazing. I'm using this right now as we speak. And what it is it's a bit bizarre. It doesn't really matter though if it's bizarre. What matters is if it works. That's the only thing. And when I use Focusmate, I am incredibly focused on the task. So what you do is you go to the site and it's a virtual co-working session. You pick a slot, you pick a time, in my case 11 till 12 more or less. It's roughly an hour, 50 minutes. Then you get partnered with somebody who also wants to do a virtual co-working session. You both say your goals, what you're working on. Then you mute. I can see her or him working. They can see me. Maybe if you're on Focusmate, you'll find me one day. But you both say your goals, and it's kind of like accountability. And now I will watch them, they will watch me. And before you start going off on another task, it just makes you think twice. It's like, hang on a second. I just said I'm going to be working on this to that person. So it adds that extra step of resistance. You've got the accountability factor working in your favor there. Now, another technique, which is also combined with Focusmate, because you're focusing for a session of 50, 25 or 75 minutes. But maybe your connection's not good enough, or maybe you just think Focusmate is bizarre and weird and creepy. Don't worry, a lot of people do. Doesn't matter. What you can do is go to timer-tab.com, set a timer there for 50 minutes, and this is another productivity technique, but it just keeps you focused, and if distractions do pop into your mind, you're like, hang on a second, I can go to that when the time is finished. Right now, I'm working on my task 2 essay. Right now, I'm working on my listening exam, for example. And it just adds that extra layer of resistance before you start opening up the other tab or checking your phone or checking social media or whatever. Now, moving on, another powerful technique is putting your phone in flight mode. My partner hates this as I'm unavailable. And I put my phone in flight mode. I go into a quiet corner of the room. I put my noise cancelling headphones on, or I just put my normal headphones on. I put the Brain FM on, combine it with Focusmate, and I am in the zone. This helps me insanely. And so again, put your phone in flight mode. You can do without notifications and distractions for 50 minutes if your IELTS exam is important enough, which I believe it is, because it's going to be a massive, massive impact on your life when you do pass. And for the most powerful techniques is you just combine all of these together. And as I just said, just pack it all into one and you can really get going. And also what I found over time is that if my first session of the day is powerful, it sets the tone for the rest of the working day. So if I start off slack and I'm just bouncing all over the place, answering this email and checking LinkedIn or whatever, the rest of the day has a lower quality. But if I start off high-powered, high-focused, and motivated, wow, the rest of the sessions usually follow the same tone. And just one last thing, when you are working in this kind of like session way, for me, again, you need to test what works for you, but for me, I work in like 3 50-minute sessions in the morning, 3 or 4 in the afternoon, and that's usually good enough. If I've got extra work, I might do some more. If I'm feeling really tired and I don't fancy it, I'll open up Focusmate, and it just adds that extra little bit of pressure. You said you're going to work on this. You've got somebody else on the other end who's going to be working on that. You don't really want to let them down, so you're just going to stay focused. Again, this might all sound a little bit not related to IELTS, but trust me, it is. You need these powerful concentration skills. Also, just one other thing. When you get proficient in meditation, as I said, you start becoming aware of more of the stuff, but also you're going to be more relaxed and entering the exam and doing the listening, reading, speaking and writing in a more relaxed frame of mind helps deliver superior results. So there's nothing wrong doing a 10-minute meditation just before the exam. And ideally, again, just getting into the habit. Right, that's it for me today. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, I am just going to ask you for one small favor, which is share it with your friends. We don't put any money on adverts to promote it. So to grow, ideally, we'd like you to share it. By not putting any money on adverts, we can just invest it into making better tools and improving the online essay checker we have at IELTSPodcast.com. We can improve our courses. It just makes the business incredibly more efficient. So if you could just share it with your friends, that would be super. And that's it. Just one last thing, actually. I know I said it before, but you're taking the IELTS exam. This is what we call small hinges that swing big doors. You get this exam, the rest of your life is going to change. You're going to get PR if you're in Australia. You're going to get the master's. You're going to get accepted for the master's degree in Canada. You're going to be able to work as a nurse or a doctor or as an engineer. You're going to get that skilled visa in the UK. Massive consequences. So don't be hard on yourself. Don't feel guilty if you're putting your phone in flight mode. Don't feel guilty if you're disappearing for a couple of hours. This is what's necessary if you want to get ahead, if you want to improve. And I expect you do, because that's why you're listening to this podcast. So have a beautiful day. Keep working. Keep moving. Don't get frustrated. Don't let the overwhelm affect you. Keep a tab on your anxiety. Do those breathing exercises. Just keep moving. Beautiful day.
Thanks for listening to IELTSPodcast.com.